Hi everyone, my name is Jacquie Forde and I'm absolutely delighted to be sitting here tonight with the wonderful Elsie Spittle. I know many of you will have heard of Elsie, seen her speak, read her books, and she's just such a fabulous, fabulous woman. We're speaking tonight because I thought it would be a fantastic opportunity for people to hear Elsie talk about why she's coming to Edinburgh and what she's going to be doing when she's in Edinburgh. Elsie and Chip will be coming to Edinburgh to attend the Scottish Parliament with me to discuss the three principles in health and well-being, but also it's such a fantastic opportunity to really honour Sid in his hometown. They're going to be here for a whole week, so I'm absolutely delighted that they've agreed to do a 2-day special retreat in Edinburgh. And this is so unusual for the two of them to work together, because normally this only ever happens in Salt Spring. So for many people, this is a little taste of Salt Spring and the school in Salt Spring without having to cross the ocean, which is just such a treat. Now, the reason that Chip and Elsie are so special, and I said this when I interviewed Chip last night, what has really touched me most deeply about this understanding is the spiritual nature of the principles. And Sid asked Chip and Elsie, he trusted them to open up a school on Salt Spring to carry on teaching this understanding of the three principles in its purest and its simplest form. So I'm absolutely delighted to have Elsie here. And just to introduce her to you, maybe she'll tell us a bit more about the school. I don't know. Over to you, Elsie.
Oh, my goodness, Jacquie. You expect me to talk after that introduction? I thank you, first of all. That was absolutely beautiful. And every time I talk with you about this upcoming event and about the privilege of being able to be invited to talk with you and the panel at Parliament, it becomes richer and it fills out more, my feeling and my vision for what is happening in Scotland. And I think I've said to you in one of our calls recently that when Sid first had his epiphany, he knew immediately that these three principles had the power to alleviate mankind suffering. And he also knew that these principles had the power to change the fields of psychology and psychiatry. But I don't think even Sid envisioned that his work would be introduced to Parliament in this way in Edinburgh. And I know that he would be over the moon. And so I'm so honored to be invited to Edinburgh and to talk with people. I think what I really would like people to see is that they're more than they're thinking. I never knew that, when I was first introduced to this understanding by Sid because of the nature of what happened to him. He was a thinker who thought a lot of insecure thoughts, and consequently his life reflected that. And then in a moment, he had this profound epiphany of mind, consciousness, and thought, and he realized that insecurity was a thought. And his life was transformed in that instant. And I'm not going to say too much about that because I'd like to share a little more in depth when we all get together in Edinburgh. Suffice to say that the change in him just was so extraordinary that Ken and I, who were close to him, and my husband had worked with him for many, many years, we really didn't know what to do with this new Sid Banks. He was so different. And And so he shared what he had uncovered, but it wasn't until I had my own insight about thought, that thought creates feeling. And it came out of nowhere. It came to me actually in probably the most anger I'd ever felt. And despite my anger, wisdom emerged, insight emerged despite my anger. That told me many things on many levels. The first thing it told me is that I'm the thinker. We're all thinkers. But instead of being a victim of my thoughts of anger at that moment, I saw that I was in charge of my thinking and not a victim any longer. That insight also brought a tremendous feeling of relief. It was a retreat from the world of my thinking. And I found peace. I found hope. I found purpose in my life. And all the anger and resistance I had experienced for a year and a half in my confusion and so on to what Sid was sharing with us vanished in a blink of an eye. And so what that also showed me is not only that the insight came from within me and my wisdom, even though Sid in his way was the catalyst and prompted this, he had left. And I was on my own, feeding my anger with all the negative thoughts I could muster. And out of that, a moment of lucidity emerged, and that insight. That told me, here's evidence that I have wisdom inside. It's inherent. I never knew that before, that I was the thinker. I thought my life was such a mess and that I was in such despair because of my circumstances, because of my husband and how I perceived him, because of my children, on and on and on. Whatever you could think of, I felt was the weight of the world on my shoulders. All of a sudden, it's gone. So there was a lot of evidence that this is inherent. And as time went on, I could see that not only me, but to get a deeper feeling for what Sid was sharing about for all of humanity. And he didn't talk about possibility, that innate health is a possibility. He didn't talk about it's a potential. He talked about innate health, mental health is a spiritual fact. He talked spiritual facts, not beliefs. And I must say, Jacquie, that at first that was disturbing to me. I took his certainty as arrogance. Once I had that insight and found a degree of that truth or that universal knowledge within myself, I could see that his certainty was built on knowing. And I remember him telling a funny story when someone else, a mutual friend of ours, said to him, Sid, why do you have to be so certain? Couldn't you just say, I think I know, instead of saying, I know? And he said, well, look it, dearie. He said, would you go to a mechanic that said, I think I know how to fix your car?
Yeah.
And again, the simplicity of that truism, struck me so strongly that I thought, of course. And so that's what I'd like people to see these 2 days, that we don't have an agenda as such, other than we show up And we are privileged and experienced enough after being lifelong students of this understanding, lifelong, over 40 years, that we trust that when we still ourselves as best as we can, wisdom emerges and will guide not only us, but elicit the wisdom from people that are in the room, so that there is a merging of a spiritual essence that educates all of us from the inside out, so that all of us have an opportunity to once again retreat from the form of our world for 2 days and find a whole new world from the inside out, that when we come back and join the world, the outer world again, we're elevated in our understanding, so that our outer world is more in harmony with our inner world, with simplicity, with elegance, and with an amazing, amazing, enriching feeling. You won't be sorry to join us. And I look forward to meeting you all and to hearing your stories, and more than anything, for us all to experience our true nature together. It's a blessing. It's a gift. And to share this wonder in Sid's hometown is something I never thought I'd have an opportunity to embrace. And I thank Jacquie now. I'll have much more to say about Jacquie, but you know, Jacquie is such an extraordinary woman. And to have had all this come out of just a very short time that you've been introduced to the principles yourself tells me a lot about you were in touch with your true nature before, whether you knew it or not. And I'm honored to know you.
Now Elsie's made this very difficult for me because I'm now blubbing. Thank you, Elsie. Such beautiful words. Really, really beautiful. And as you can see, very touching. I honestly can't wait for this experience. It is just going to be so special. And because I'm blubbing at the moment, it reminds me of you being in Glasgow last year, and you worked with Christian and Lynn and did a one-day seminar, and I came in and I cried from the start, and I was still crying when I left, and I cried all the way along the motorway. So much cleared. And I came back and I saw you the next day, and we had a little one-to-one, and I knew that something really big had shifted, but I didn't have a clue what it was, and I didn't need to know what it was. It was just beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And for people who are coming on the 2-day retreat, and for people who are considering coming the 2-day retreat, you will be so astounded at just how beautiful this experience will be. We talk about it being all in the feeling. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Wow.
So thank you for your time tonight, Elsie, and I wish you well on your travels. I know that you're going to Los Angeles next week to work with Michael Neal. You sure are getting about.
Yes, yes.
So I wish you a lovely trip.
All right, my dear. Thank
Okay.
you, Jacquie. We'll see you soon.
Okay, take care. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.